Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be going over how you can maintain your muscle mass while in a calorie deficit or while you're cutting. So there's a few fundamental areas that you need to make sure that you cover when in a deficit, when on a diet, whatever you want to call it, whenever you're dropping weight, in order to make sure you keep as much muscle mass as possible. So today's video we're going to be going over that, so stay tuned. I'm at Crayford Weights and Fitness again, as always, and we're going to be training a chest, delts and arm session. I don't know why I always say we, like it's me and someone else, like my split personality or something. We're in for a chest, delts and arm session, so let's get it. First thing I want to talk about when it comes to maintaining as much muscle mass as possible when you're cutting or when you're dieting is to initially set yourself a realistic goal, a realistic target. If your goal is to lose 10 kilos in 5 weeks, that's going to be quite a drastic cut. And obviously, the more drastic you are, the more things you have to do, like implement cardio, things like that. The more harsh you are with those things, the more chance there is of losing that muscle mass. So if you want to maintain as much muscle mass as possible, you need to set yourself a realistic target, a realistic time frame. Give yourself a good amount of time, roughly a kilo a week, kind of maximum, over a prolonged period of time. So if you want to drop 10 kilos, give yourself about 10 weeks, and then that will give you enough time to make sure you maintain as much muscle mass as possible while cutting. That being said, it's my top set, 160, got to try and hit more than 10. Let's go. Ah. Oh. Ha. So this machine's been causing me a little bit of jip in my shoulder over the past couple of weeks. So what I've decided to do, rather than use these handles and be in this position, because this is the kind of position that's causing my shoulder stress, I've changed it up, moved it to the inside handles. This allows you to use a little bit more triceps, so it takes a little bit more tension off the shoulder, and also it doesn't put you in that compromised position out here. You can put something underneath where the points touch on the machine to kind of raise it up to here that falls away, like I did on the chest press. Falls away when you press it up, but for me it's that coming down when you get into this position just puts too much stress on my shoulder. So what I've decided to do, use the inside handles. I find it puts a bit more emphasis on your front delt, which is fine for what I'm trying to do. So for me going forward, it's these handles. I always prefer using the wider ones, but you know, don't want to cause myself any further stress to that area. So next point I want to touch on is nutrition. Now obviously nutrition is absolutely vital no matter what point you're at in your journey, whether you're cutting, whether you're bulking, whether you're maintaining. Your diet is going to dictate which one you're doing, because obviously if you're in a calorie surplus you're going to be bulking, if you're in a deficit you're going to be cutting, and if you're sticking around maintenance calories, managing your energy output, then you're going to be maintaining. So when it comes to cutting with your nutrition, you want to make sure you're getting enough protein in. Again, that's the same for at any stage of your journey. You want to make sure you're hitting enough protein. So 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. 200 pounds, I want to be getting between 200 to 300 grams of protein. Now, obviously, depending on supplementation and your uptake of protein and stuff like that as well, depends how much you're going to take. Okay, so that's protein covered. In terms of carbs, when it comes to carbs, you want to get most of them in around your training window. If you get them in pre, that's going to fuel your workout. If you get them in post, you want simple carbohydrates, simple sugary foods. I tend to opt for cereal, like Wheatos or Cocoa Pops, which has got a little bit of sugar in, it's got a lot of fiber, high carbohydrate content. So that's going to obviously replenish your glycogen stores and help that recovery process. The reason you get simple sugars in post-workout is for the same reason, restoring your glycogen, and also your body needs it at that point. You think runners, they always eat bananas, like tennis players always eat bananas and stuff while they're playing. Just replenishes that glycogen. Your body needs those fast-acting carbohydrates while it's working. So if you've just finished training, then you need that that sugar source. I always say to my clients, if there's something sugary that you enjoy, keep it in your diet, but have it post-workout, then your body's going to put it to good use. Okay, top set for shoulder press. Let's go. Fuck. Okay, the next point to mention is training. So when it comes to a calorie deficit and losing weight, with your training, you don't want to just knock off the heavy weight and just go to really high reps, because that's going to be counterproductive. If you think you lifted heavy weights to put on the muscle, so why would you then reduce it to lower weights to keep the muscle? Doesn't make sense. So if you go in with your base numbers quite high, then stick to those numbers as much as you can. Try and beat those numbers. Just because you're in a calorie deficit and you're cutting doesn't mean you have to get weaker. Again, big advocate of a logbook. It's something that you'll definitely benefit from. You can log those weights, and then in the following week try and beat the weight from the previous week, or keep the weight the same and try and beat the reps. There's no reason while when you're cutting you need to decrease the weight at any point, unless it's the form's starting to go at that weight, so you need to bring it back down in order to lift correctly to minimize injury, because obviously the last thing you want to do is get injured. And when your calories are lower and your expenditure is higher, you're more injury prone, so you need to bear that in mind and be very, very careful. And then in terms of cardio and steps and daily expenditure, use those as tools. So those are just tools to have in your toolbox to implement when needed. You don't need to start a cut and then go, right, hour of cardio fasted every single morning, 15,000 steps a day, training an hour and a half of weights. You don't need to be doing that, so just carry on doing what you would usually do, gradually increase the steps, gradually increase the cardio, use them as tools. You don't want to use all your tools at once, because then you're going to burn out, and you're going to have nowhere else to dig. You're going to have nothing left to dig to get that weight off. You're going to plateau and you're not going to be able to get rid of it. Very, very important when it comes to training, when dieting. Keep your weight the same, try and beat it every week, don't reduce it. Final set on this, back off set. had to sit and wait while they was all fucking eating McDonald's.
I think the smell is enough for me. I'm doing that.
It's the chips, man. It's the chips.
That's it, innit?
You smell the chips. It's like fuck. The next thing I want to talk about is recovery. So, recovery when it comes to training is paramount. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to allow your body time to recover, and you're not going to have energy for your workouts. You're taken away from your days, and you're not going to be able to put in 100% with everything else if you haven't got sleep. That's a vital part of the recovery process. The next point is enough time between workouts. So if you train one evening quite late, say 9-10 p.m, and then you're up at 7 a.m. the next day to train, that's not enough time to recover. Even if you're training a different body part, even if you're going from legs to upper body, that's still not enough time to recover fully for your next training session. So what you need to do is make sure you've got enough time between sessions and make sure you're getting the sleep in alongside with the nutrition. That also aids with the recovery like we spoke about earlier. Everything works in a triangle. You need to get your training, your nutrition and your recovery all on point, and then everything flows and works a hell of a lot better. Oh, fuck. Yeah. So another thing I want to touch on is supplementation. So supplementation can help you with many different things, from multivitamins to fish oils to glucosamine for your joints and stuff. As you get leaner, your joints get drier, so glucosamine can help to kind of lubricate those joints a little bit better. Obviously there's a wide range of supplements out there that you can take. Some of them are essential, some of them not so essential. It's also worth mentioning that if you're an assisted athlete, then you're definitely going to have an upper hand in terms of keeping muscle mass while you're dieting down for obvious reasons. If you're natty, then obviously you need to make sure everything is to the T in check in order to maximize how much muscle you're actually going to keep. Like I say, if you're assisted, then it's easier to keep that muscle. You still have to work just as hard, you still have to have everything on point, but you have the potential to get bigger and to stay bigger while you're dieting. If you're natural, you don't have that luxury, so you need to be more meticulous with what you're doing and the supplements you're taking. It's a big triangle, so the recovery, the training and the diet all go hand in hand. You have to know all of those, and for me those are the top three. Everything else is kind of just a small minute added bonus in terms of keeping your muscle mass. Like I say, supplementation is very, very minimal. It's going to make a very, very minimal difference, but if you're someone that wants to get on stage, that minute difference can be the difference between winning and losing. So Oh. So here's a physique update of my mini cut so far. We're currently halfway through. And in that time I've gone from 110.6 kg down to 104.8, so that's a 6 kilo drop in 5 weeks, which is spot on. Like I said before, you want to lose an average of about a kilo a week, so I'm just over that, which is good. Means I'm on track. As you can see from the visuals, definitely getting leaner across the back, across the midsection, so it's starting to come in a bit more. My current macros are 3,550 calories, which is broken down as 250 protein, 525 carb and 50 fats. On my rest days, my calories are lower because the energy expenditure is less. 250 protein, 325 carb and 80 fat, so fat's slightly higher on those rest days. Feeling good so far, hunger's not setting too bad. I'm not really someone that deals well with being hungry, so the fact that my hunger is kind of staying at bay has been really good. I'll put some photos up of the start point as well, so that you can compare to how I'm looking now, 5 weeks in. So another 5 weeks, and I think this is really going to be the point where we're really going to see a difference, and it's really going to start to come in across the midsection. Like I've said before, my midsection is the last place to come in. As soon as my midsection is in, you know that I'm lean. So another 5 weeks, if we can drop another 5 kilos off in that 5 weeks, then that'll be absolutely perfect. That'll put me at just below 100 kilos. At the end of my last cut I was 94, so it'd be really interesting to see that when I get just as lean as I was before, what my body weight is, because that will kind of depict how much muscle's been put on this previous bulk. And then the plan at the end of that is to go back into another bulk as long as needed, and then show prep is obviously next year, looking at around April time. So all's going well so far. Thank you for following along in my journey, and if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, chuck a thumbs up on the video, and I'll see you in the next one.